Alright, everybody, welcome back to Major Movies and TV, and today we're going to be talking about Marvel's new TV special, Werewolf by Night. I got to watch it last night, and honestly, this is probably one of my favorite things Marvel has ever done, and I wish this was a whole movie. This deserved to be an hour and a half Disney Plus original movie. Okay, they could have done that. I'm so mad that there was not enough of this, because this was great for what they gave. And I want to see more of these characters, and I'm very excited to talk about this. So I'm going to talk non-spoilers for a little bit and then go into spoilers. This is like an hour-long TV special, so it probably won't be that long. There's not a whole lot to go over, but I did really like this, so I do want to talk about it in detail and really give a thorough examination or whatever, a thorough review of this, because I really liked it. So this TV special here stars Laura Donnelly as Elsa Bloodstone, Gael Garcia Bernal as Jack Russell, and Harriet Sansom Harris as Verussa, and then among others are just like these hunters, Kirk Thatcher, Eugene Bondurant, Leonardo Nam, and all that. So there are a couple side characters, but in all reality there are three main actors in this TV special, and that's kind of where the focus is. And then, in all reality, it's mainly just Laura Donnelly and Gael Garcia Bernal that kind of carry this thing, and they both do really well. The acting is done well. I got a feel for the characters without much backstory. One thing I will say is I kind of wish there was a little more backstory, because I don't know the characters that well. So for me, not knowing the characters well, it would have been nice to know a little bit more, especially when it comes to Jack Russell. And I'm sure they'll kind of explain it more as the character is like fleshed out more in different whatever they do. Like whatever types of, whether it's a movie or a TV show or whatever. I'm sure they'll flesh out his backstory somewhat, but for someone who doesn't know the character from the comics that well, it would have been nice to know a little bit of backstory. But I kind of got what I needed in terms of like understanding the character. So it was, I do feel like, and that's why I say this could have been an hour and a half long Disney Plus movie, because they could have fleshed out the characters more. They could have given more backstory. And then also more action scenes with Jack Russell, Man-Thing, and, Elsa. Elsa Bloodstone. Elsa Bloodstone actually got some of the most action in the series, or whatever this is, special. She got the most action scenes, I think. So it's that was a little disappointing. I wanted to see more of Jack Russell or Werewolf by Night, but I kind of get why they couldn't do that, because they had to do the big reveal as to what exactly is Jack Russell's powers or whatever, is his curse. So I get it. But I felt like there could have been more to what he did. And Man-Thing, too. Man-Thing is awesome. I love Man-Thing in this. He's so chill. He's just vibing out here and disintegrating people. And I feel like they could have done more with him. Like, I'll get more into it when I get into spoilers. But that doesn't mean that I dislike what they did. It just means I wanted more of it. And that's a good thing, I think. That I don't see these things I'm saying as negatives. I see them as, you did really well, just keep going with it. Just keep adding on to it. This could have been an hour and a half long movie. Like a quick movie. A full feature film, but not like 2 hours long. Just like a quick hour and a half movie. They could have added another half hour to this. I feel like they really could have. But it is what it is. So, with this, the direction is good. Obviously, this is Marvel's first real go into horror. They kind of did it in Doctor Strange 2, which I like that movie, but they didn't go all out. This is like horror for the most part. There are some comedic scenes in the special that actually weren't that bad. They didn't detract too much from the horror aspects, and they were mainly at the beginning. But there was some lightheartedness. So honestly, I wouldn't even consider this full-on horror. It's mainly just horrific, if that makes sense. Like, it's not scary at all. It's just violent. It's more violent than a normal MCU TV show or movie, but it's like not scary. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, it's kind of weird because I've seen, like, I get it. They're like ripping people apart and stuff in this special, but we've seen blood in Marvel movies, like Doctor Strange 2 with WandaVision. Or not Wanda, with Scarlet Witch, killing people, cutting them in half. We've seen John Walker beat that guy with his shield in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We've seen violence. So for me, I'm like, yeah, I guess this is more violent than normal, but we've seen violence in the MCU. It's just kind of I kind of wish they just went R-rated, considering now they have Deadpool and Logan on Disney Plus and stuff, and any MCU movie featuring Deadpool or any Deadpool movie is going to be R-rated now. So just go into it, please. Moon Knight could have been R-rated, and this could have been R-rated, and I would have been more intrigued by it because it's something different. This is the supernatural side of the MCU, the more violent, dark side, and I just really like that. But other than that, everything went well. I like the characters. Jack Russell and Manding's relationship as friends is amazing. I want to see more of those two. Honestly, anytime one of them appears, I want the other there. Kind of like that, kind of like a Rocket and Groot thing where I don't want them separated. I kind of want them together at least 90% of the time. I feel like that would be fun. So the story is well written for the most part. It's very straightforward, straight to the point, and it's acted well. The direction is good, especially for a first-time director. I believe his name is Michael Giacchino, and he did very well. And I think this is his only directorial I think this is his directorial debut here, so he did well. It definitely feels like an old school monster movie. It feels cool and different, and I really hope that they really go into the weird when it comes to the supernatural side of the Marvel universe, because we have the street level side, we have the galactic side, and now we have the supernatural side of the MCU. And I really hope that they go more into that. And really, Marvel should not be afraid to be more violent with it. Get away with as much as possible. And even if something is rated R, it doesn't necessarily mean that it can't be watched by kids. it depends on what it's rated R for. I mean, not kids as in like 5-year-olds. I'm talking kids like 13-year-olds. You know, like I feel like the rating system is kind of like not accurate. I feel like there should be a rating between PG-13 and R, like PG-16, you know, or like 16. Like a 16-year-old could watch a violent show. Like they do it anyways. So I think our rating system needs to be like fixed, you know? I think adding in a new rating for 16-year-olds, I think that would be very well accepted, you know, because you can have more swearing and more violence in a 16-year-old movie, you know, and like, but you also don't go as far as like a normal horror movie. Like Hellraiser, that's R, but something like this, if there was more blood and more, you know, violence, a little bit more, it could be like rated 16 and up, you know? But that's just me. Other than that, I don't think there's much I gotta talk about that's not non-spoilers. I'd say if you're an MCU fan, definitely check this out. If you are looking for something different from the MCU, check it out. You know, it's an hour long. It's not long, so I think it's worth the watch, especially if you have Disney Plus. But yeah. So, we're going to go into spoilers now. You have been warned. If you don't want to be spoiled for Werewolf by Night, do not keep watching the video. Go watch it, and then come back. You know, I'm going into spoilers right now, so just a warning. 3, 2, 1, spoiler time. Alright, so pretty much the main premise of the show, or special, is that Jack Russell is in this meeting of the Bloodstones. The father of Elsa Bloodstone has died, and he was the holder of this magical monster-killing gem called the Bloodstone. And so he's died, and he wants to pass it on to a different hunter, a monster hunter. And apparently there have been monster hunters for many years, and, you know, all that. His daughter shows up. She's estranged from the family. She hasn't been around in 20 years or whatever. And then there's the stepmom, played by Harriet Sansom Harris, Verusa. She is the one kind of running the whole thing and trying to keep the father's legacy alive through this bloodstone. So pretty much the main premise is all these hunters are gathered around. Whoever survives and kills the monster gets the bloodstone, and the bloodstone is like super powerful. So they all want it, and then so what they do is they attach the bloodstone to the monster, which turns out to be Man-Thing. They attach the bloodstone to him and let him loose in the garden of the home that they're in, the Bloodstone home. And all the hunters have to go out and try to kill Man-Thing. Jack Russell is friends with Man-Thing. He is Werewolf by Night. He is within the hunters, pretending to be a monster hunter just to get Man-Thing out of there and save him, which I thought was pretty cool. I like that. And another thing that I thought was kind of fun, how when Verusa was going over the credentials of every hunter, Jack Russell had, like, they say, oh, this guy's got 50-something kills, or 40 kills, or 30 kills, or whatever. And then they go to Jack Russell, and she goes, he has 106 deaths. So I'm like, what do you, like, why did you point out that he has deaths instead of kills? You know? Like, there was something about that. I couldn't figure out exactly what they meant by that, but he has the most deaths, not kills. So that's kind of interesting. But then, so Jack Russell eventually finds Man-Thing in the garden while Elsa is fighting off the other hunters. Jack Russell gets this little bomb, and he plans on putting the bomb on a wall and blowing it up to let Man-Thing escape. So Man-Thing's hiding in the bushes. Jack Russell goes to find a place to put the bomb, and he comes across Elsa. Elsa just killed a hunter and is in the tomb in the garden of all the dead family relatives. And Jack Russell goes in after her. She's been injured. She's trying to, fix her wound. And he closes the door to the tomb, and now it's locked. So they're locked inside the tomb, and they decide that they want to work together. Jack Russell doesn't want the bloodstone, so he's like, all right, you help me save my friend, you get the bloodstone, and then we both move on. So Elsa agrees to the terms, and I thought this was kind of cool how their way of getting out of the tomb was like, it showed some history of the character, because of the family, because Elsa says, oh, my aunt used to say that she'd rise from the dead, and when she did, she'd need a way out of the tomb, so she kept keys in her coffin. So she breaks into the aunt's coffin and then gets the keys to get out. And it gives a purpose to to explaining the backstory of the family a little bit. So I thought that was pretty cool way of doing it. Like it actually meant something, So they open the door, they get out. Jack Russell, Elsa tells him to put the bomb on a cracked wall in the garden. And so he does. He finds the cracked wall, and this is comedy done right, and it's funny because this is in like a more horror special, but this was actually kind of done very well. I thought it was funny because she tells him specifically, she's like, you throw the bomb and it will stick to the wall and then blow it up, and you get out of the way of the explosion. And he's like, all right. So he gets up to the wall and he throws it at the wall and it doesn't stick. And I just thought this was, like, relatably funny, because, like, when you're in that situation where someone tells you, like, all right, this is how it's gonna go, and you don't know any better, so you're trying to do it the way they said to do it, and it's just not working, and you're panicking, trying to figure out how it's gonna work. I like that, because he's got this bomb that's, like, ready to blow up, and it's gonna blow up. He's trying to get it to stick to the wall, and he can't, and then he eventually figures out, oh, I could just put it in the crack in the wall. And then he does that, and then it's fine. But I just thought that was kind of funny and relatable. And then another, funny part. So apparently Man-Thing's name is Ted. That's what he likes to be called. And Jack Russell tells Elsa, he's like, if you come across him, don't hurt him. Just say his name, Ted. And Elsa's like, what? His name is Ted. So she eventually does find him, and because a hunter is going after him, and Man-Thing just comes out of the bushes, grabs the hunter's head after Elsa distracts him, and just literally disintegrates him. And I was like, all right, Man-Thing's awesome. He just came out here and killed that dude for nothing, like it was nothing. He just grabbed his head and dead. That was funny. And then he's looking at Elsa. He's all mad, and then she calls him Ted, and he just turns into like this super nice guy. He's like, oh, hey, you call me Ted. I kind of did. Like, he doesn't talk, but you can see it in his face, like what he's like getting across. I really like that. Like, they did a lot with his CGI and allowing him to actually have like a personality with just his face and no real mouth or voice or anything like that. And I really like that. And Man-Thing is dope. His CGI looked really good. So yeah, I like that. And So now Elsa is leading Man-Thing to where Jack Russell is blowing up the wall. The wall blows up. And what happens is Man-Thing's trying to run out as quickly as possible. Elsa uses this like grapple hook thing to get the bloodstone off of him. It falls to the ground, and then the bloodstone family and the rest of the hunters that are still alive, they come to the wall and they're like, "Oh, you set the monster free. Why'd you do that?" And you traitor to the family. And what Jack Russell does is he goes to grab the bloodstone, and the bloodstone hurts him because he is a monster. So they all see this and they're like, "Oh, the bloodstone hurt you, so you're a monster. So we're gonna feed the traitor to the monster." So they capture them both and they lock Elsa and Jack in a cage in the middle of the house. And so Jack he does give some sort of backstory to his powers. He's saying like, "No, I can control it. I keep it within me, and the only time it really comes out is on a full moon." But then what happens is Elsa is like, "Well, they have the bloodstone, and the bloodstone can transform you in seconds, like it can transform you whenever it wants. Your ways of stopping your powers are, not gonna work." So what I liked was he like sniffs her. He's like, "I need to be able to remember you," and so he like sniffs you, which was kind of weird at first, but then I'm like, all right, I get it. Like, it's cool. Like I thought that was interesting and something I actually haven't seen before in any werewolf type movies or whatever, where like someone in human form is like, "All right, I'm gonna remember you by sniffing you." Like, I've never seen that before, and that's actually a pretty cool detail. And another thing he said, she asked him like, "Has this worked before?" And he said, "Once before." So I think there is some backstory there. They just held off on it, and I feel like they held off on it because they wanted to see how this style of film or whatever would work, like the throwback monster horror thing, because they haven't really done it much, which I kind of get, but I wish they went more into detail with the characters. So, Verussa comes back. She uses the bloodstone to transform Jack into the Werewolf by Night. And Werewolf by Night, the transformation actually looked pretty cool. It was mainly off screen, but the shot of like Elsa watching him transform, and you did get some like a shadow shot of him, and you see his hand transforming. I thought it was pretty cool. And then the actual design for the Werewolf by Night was pretty solid. I feel like it could have been a little bit like better with the hair. I felt like the hair was kind of patchy. But other than that, it looked good. It looked like a cross between like old school werewolf design and then new school, where he's more humanoid. He doesn't go full on wolf, but he does have some wolf features in his face and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool. So what happens is he breaks out of the cage, after getting electrocuted a bunch of times, and he doesn't end up attacking Elsa. He attacks everyone else. And this action scene was really fun. I liked it a lot. He's jumping around the room, clawing people apart, biting their necks, stuff like that, killing them. Like, these people are dead. And so he does that while Elsa breaks free and kills off the rest of the hunters. And then it gets to the end where Verussa, I think, is like knocked out or something. And then Elsa... Oh yeah, so Verussa is killing Jack with the bloodstone. She keeps blasting him back. And then I think Elsa knocks her out or something. And then Elsa ends up getting the bloodstone. And then Jack goes to attack Elsa, but Elsa doesn't use the bloodstone on him. He just kind of like holds her down and he's like, I remember you, and then runs away. And he escapes through like a hole in the wall or a door or something. And then Elsa's just standing there, and then Verussa gets back up and she's like, oh, you're a traitor, blah, blah, blah. And she's about to shoot Elsa with a gun. And then Man-Thing just crashes through the ceiling and grabs her and vaporizes her. I'm like, all right, Ex Machina Man-Thing. That was dope. Man-Thing's chill. So, that was fun. And unexpected. I honestly didn't expect Man-Thing to come back like that, but that was fun. Elsa tells Man-Thing, she's like, yeah, Jack left out that way, so Man-Thing grabs his clothes, and he's like, alright, I gotta go find him. I thought that was funny. And then, Elsa just kind of takes over, the house, I guess, because she has the Bloodstone now, everyone else is dead, and, other than the butler dude, the assistant, and then he starts cleaning up everything, and she's just kind of chilling there. And then what I thought was cool is it actually goes into color. It goes from black and white to color at the end, and you see her in color, and then you see that Man-Thing and Jack have like this little hut in the woods, and Jack ends up going back there. Man-Thing is like taking care of him, and then they just kind of sit on the log and talk to each other like, oh, I saved you or whatever. Now we're even, and then they're just joking with each other, and I really liked that. I thought that was a good ending, like it really drove home the relationship between Jack and Man-Thing, and I really like that, and I really hope that if they continue with these characters, they keep Jack and Man-Thing together, and they really build up that friendship, because that is just great. I really liked it. That was probably one of the best parts, because Man-Thing is like a chill dude, he's just out here vibing, and they just help each other, and I really like that. I kind of see me. I'm not a big fan of the Marvel TV shows. I don't dislike them, but I prefer movies. But I do agree that there are some stories that, you can't fit everything into a movie. So I do like the TV shows, but I don't really push for a certain character to have a TV show. I prefer if they get movies. But what I will say is that if they're going to do a TV show about certain characters, I think a Werewolf by Night and Man-Thing TV show would be really cool. I would enjoy that, especially if they do it similarly to this special. Not black and white, but still like violent and like horror-esque. Then I think that'd be really fun. I really want to see these two characters again. I think a TV show with them would be really dope. Exploring more of the supernatural side of the MCU. And I feel like with characters like that are less known, I think a TV show would be a good idea. See, one thing I think that they're kind of messing up on sometimes is that they're taking well-known characters and giving them TV shows. Which, I guess maybe Falcon and Bucky aren't, like, well-known, or Miss Marvel and stuff like that, Moon Knight, but they are known. Like, they do have a fan base, so I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking out my ass, but that's just my thought on it. I think a Moon Knight and Werewolf by Night crossover would be kind of cool, where they kind of meet up with each other. This made me hope for a Moon Knight season 2 though, because I want to see what they end up doing with that, because that ending to Moon Knight, like, it kind of makes me curious as to what they're going to do with Moon Knight. But back onto Werewolf by Night. I really like this. I felt like they could have gone more into horror, and by that I mean I don't think they needed to be more violent. I think they needed to be more scary, or like suspenseful. There wasn't a whole lot of tension, but the imagery was there. So I'm like, all right, just I feel like if they had more time to build up more tense moments in the special, and that's why I say an hour and a half long movie. You give like 10 minutes to more backstory for the characters. You give like 10 minutes to more tension filled scenes where they're like sneaking around trying to get Man-Thing out of the garden without causing too much of a problem. And then more action before the final act. Like, I wanted to see Man-Thing fight more. I wanted to see Elsa, Man-Thing, and Jack fight together, trying to get Man-Thing out of the garden. I felt like that would have been pretty cool. And then that would have added up to, like, another 30 minutes or so, and it could have been, like, a Disney Plus movie instead of a special. But, you know, that's just me. Other than that, I really like this. It's probably one of my favorite things from the MCU. I'm really into the supernatural stuff, so I hope they keep going with it, and I hope they do everything well. Bring back Ghost Rider, bring back Moon Knight, bring back, Werewolf by Night, bring back, just keep bringing back, like, Blade and stuff like that. I'm really interested to see how they do this side of the MCU. But so that'll be it for Werewolf by Night. I definitely say go watch it. If you have your own thoughts, let me know down in the comments below. And other than that, have a good day.